Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Otaku Treasures, and I ended up finding another book that I really thought was interesting, that I kind of caught my attention. And I wanted to try this one, and since I already finished the first book for Campfire Cooking in Another World, but yes, I will pick up Volume 2, don't worry. But I wanted to start this one. It's called I Will Never Set Foot in That House Again. And yeah, it just caught my attention. Because I was looking for new books, and, well, this one popped up in Amazon. Anyway, the prologue. My name is Chelsea. I'm the elder twin daughter of Baron Eucharis, and I'm called a failure. In the pitch dark of the morning before the sun arose, I got out of my crude bed. I put on my tattered old clothes and exited the rundown shed on the outskirts of the manor. Making sure not to make a sound, I got to cleaning the manor. I would think that the daughters of lesser noble families would help clean, but my family wasn't that poor. The other members of my family had personal maids who took care of them, and even their own chefs. They wore nice clothing, ate delicious-looking food, and had fun. Why was it that even though we were all family, I was the only one wearing rags, being starved, and made to clean? Once I tried asking my mother, and she gave me a twisted smile before responding, "You're an ugly failure, unfit for the house of Eucharis. You'll never get married off to anyone. So I'm having you learn how to be a maid early. You didn't even know that? I'm gonna have to get even stricter with you." Yeah, I hate people like this. I mean, what the heck is so wrong with her that she is seen as a failure? That's what I wonder. Guess we'll find out. Ever since then, I had been told to call my mother Lady Medicina and my younger sister Lady Margaret. I also began getting whipped as punishment for the slightest mistake. In addition, it had been years since I'd seen my father. He was frequently away on work, only returning every so often. Even when he was home, Lady Medicina would order me to stay in my shed so we never saw each other. Since the manor had been built in a period when my family was very wealthy, there were a lot of rooms. It always took me until near noon, when the sun was high in the sky, to finish cleaning them all. After finally finishing my cleaning, I headed straight for the kitchen. Because I'd been working since before dawn without anything to eat, my stomach was growling loudly. But though the chef was there in the kitchen, he shook his head at me. Lady Medicina had ordered the chefs not to make me any food. They used to make me a little something in secret, but I was punished when she found out. The chefs couldn't bear to see me being punished alone, so they stopped making me food altogether. Instead, they would give me anything that was left over. That way, they wouldn't be making things for me, so I wouldn't be punished. What the head shake meant was that there was no leftovers today, which meant I couldn't eat at all. I'm so hungry. How did they expect you to do anything without any food? Sighing to myself, I drank water until my stomach was full and left the kitchen. Ew, what are you doing in here? As I walked through the halls, I heard a hysterical shriek from in front of me. It was my younger sister, Lady Margaret. She was staring at me like I was garbage. Lady Margaret had inherited Lady Medicina's slightly curled, fiery red hair and eyes. Her skin was pure white with not a scratch on it. She had told me that people likened her eyes to rubies, but in comparison as her elder twin sister, my hair was originally pale pink, but just looked gray through all the filth and grime. My eyes were big, buggy, and purple, while my skin was rough and covered in bruises, cuts, and scars from the whip. I was also a full head shorter than her. Lady Medicina's personal maid and chef had told me that twins were supposed to look similar. Lady Margaret and I were twins, but we looked nothing alike. Why? Were we really twins? I wanted to ask, but I was too afraid of the whip to let myself. Oh, you're right. What is this hideous failure of a baron's daughter doing here? Lady Medicina walked out into the hall, seemingly after hearing Lady Margaret's voice. I immediately moved to the edge of the hallway, kneeling on the floor. I was never allowed to look up at Lady Medicina. If our eyes met, I would be whipped. Ah, that's it. You, weed the garden. My lovely little Margaret and I will be in the sunroom studying manners. She told me before heading there with Lady Margaret. These guys need to be smacked upside the head with how they treat people. She seemed to be in a good mood today because I wasn't whipped. I was honestly relieved. I felt worse and worse as I peeked up at their backs. According to the maids, chefs, and the old gardener, I wasn't as ugly or useless as Lady Medicina said. But my sister Lady Margaret was treated like a proper noble while I was worked like a maid. Why just me? I knew that if I asked again, I'd just get whipped without getting an answer. Biting my lip to stop myself from crying, I headed to the garden. The weeds were out of control. There had been an old gardener up until last year, but he died during an epidemic. He taught me lots of things that he'd said I'd need to know to survive. Using the same scythe he'd used, I started carefully cutting the weeds near the gate. As I eventually reached near the entry hall, I heard footsteps and hid behind some bushes. It seemed that we had guests. There was a woman in a white robe with a blue stole, and a man wearing the same robe with the hood up. There were also 4 knights, each with a short yellow cape on one shoulder. They were heading from the gate towards the hall. The hooded man stopped in his tracks, looking toward the bushes where I was hiding. Garbage like you should never dirty the eyes of guests. Lady Medicina had always told me that I knew from experience that I'd get whipped even worse than usual if I was seen. I squeezed my eyes shut, clutching my hands in front of my chest in prayer. Please don't see me. As I prayed, I heard a woman's voice and fading footsteps. Opening my eyes, I could see that the hooded man wasn't looking my way anymore. He must have sensed you were there, maybe? It was like, I'll check that later. The group made it to the door while I braved a relieved sigh. The woman adjusted her robes before knocking on the door. The knock was immediately answered by Lady Medicina's personal maid. May I ask who you are? We've been sent by the Royal Research Institute as per the lady's request. Please wait one moment while I confirm with Lady Ucharis. The maid headed back into the manor before appearing a moment later with Lady Medicina. Oh, we've been expecting you. Please come in. She beckoned the guests inside, plastering her best smile on her face. What did they mean by her request? I wanted to know, but I couldn't go inside. I just kept on waiting since I'd be whipped for slacking off otherwise. Finished with around the entrance, I moved toward the manor itself. Since the guests would probably be brought to the parlor in the east wing, I decided I could probably work unseen if I started by the sunroom in the western wing. That might be where they went. But just as I started on the weeds near the sunroom, I saw the guests moving. Wondering why they were going to the sunroom instead, I quickly hid behind another bush. I managed to conceal myself, but I could hear everything they said from my hiding spot. If I was found, I'd definitely be whipped for eavesdropping. But since I couldn't hide anywhere else now, I just tried to stay as small as possible. Thank you all so much for coming all this way from the capital. I am Medicina, the wife of Baron Ucharis. Lady Medicina introduced herself. You could tell from her voice that she was nervous. The guest must have been quite high in rank. This is my daughter Margaret. She just turned 12. Hello, my name is Margaret, daughter of Baron Ucharis. I sighed to myself. It was like there was only one daughter. Lady Margaret is my twin sister, and Lady Medicina is our mother. We're related by blood, but I'm treated as if I don't exist. I could at least give up if she hadn't been my birth mother. Congratulations on your 12th birthday. I am the aide Adeline, and this is the nationally recognized appraiser, Lord Glenn. I peeked between the leaves to see inside as Lady Adeline gave a proper noble introduction. Following her, Lord Glenn just gave a nod, still not lowering his hood. I could see the corner of Lady Medicina's mouth twitch, while Lady Margaret looked very obviously annoyed. After all the greetings, the four sat down on the sofas with the knight standing still behind the two guests. Lady Medicina's personal maid nervously began setting out tea and snacks on the table between them. There was 6 guests in total. If there were that many, then there might be leftovers after. My empty stomach gurgled at the thought. Allow me to explain things for our daughter. Lady Adeline began, completely ignoring the tea and snacks. In our world, every person awakened to a special gift known as a skill at age 12. There were all sorts of skills ranging from useful to useless. The useful ones were divided into 4 categories: martial arts, magic, technical, and unique, before being further divided by 5 levels. The higher level the skill, the harder it will be to control. Without special training, users would run the risk of harming others by unintentional use or rampage. To avoid such incidents, each child's skill would be appraised as they came of age, and they would be sent to the Royal Research Institute for special training if necessary. I cannot talk. Because nobles usually awaken to higher level skills, having their skills appraised by a nationally recognized appraiser was mandatory. Now that explanations are out of the way, we'll have you appraised. Lady Adeline said, pulling out a thick book and a ledger from her bag before giving Lord Glenn a nod. Giving her a small nod back, Lord Glenn tented his fingers, staring straight at Lady Margaret. After a while, he tilted his head slightly, whispering something into Lady Adeline's ear. She nodded and began flipping through the ledger. The only sound you could hear was the flipping of the pages. I could see Lady Margaret getting more impatient by the second, while Lady Medicina watched excitedly. Unable to wait another moment, Lady Margaret leaned forward, asking Lord Glenn directly, excuse me, what is my skill? Your skill is upper-level fire magic. You must go through special training, he answered curtly. Hearing the results, both Lady Medicina and Lady Margaret's eyes widened in shock before turning to each other in glee. The reason why they were so happy was because being sent for special training at the Royal Research Institute was a status symbol for nobles, but while they rejoiced, Lady Adeline furrowed her brows, pointing something out to Lord Glenn in the ledger. After waiting for them to calm down, she gave them a blank look. It seems that you have another daughter who just turned 12 as well, she said. Oh, you're getting called out! The moment the words left her mouth, Lady Medicina and Lady Margaret grimaced at the same time. Lord Glenn tells me that his appraisal lists Lady Margaret as the second daughter of Baron Ucharis. We also have records of the existence of an older twin sister who has yet to be appraised in the noble registry, Lady Adeline said, holding out the ledger she had shown Lord Glenn. Noble births and deaths must be reported within 10 days. Any fraudulent information will result in punishment. Has the elder daughter passed away in the last 10 days? No. My other daughter is very sickly and cannot leave her room, Lady Medicina replied, shaking her head. Your other daughter is actually hiding outside the sunroom in the bushes. Could it be that you do not realize how much information an appraiser can see? Lady Medicina's face went pale at Lady Adeline's cold words. Did that mean he could see that I wasn't given food or clothing, was being worked like a maid, and also being whipped? Lady Medicina seemed to be thinking the same thing because she was staring off into the distance. Where is your other daughter? It's out weeding the garden, Lady Medicina replied, looking away. It? It? Why did they say, what do you mean, it? Lord Glen stood up, exiting the sunroom through the door to the garden, while Lady Adeline and the knights followed. It seemed that Lady Margaret was tagging along too. They're gonna find me. I didn't have a chance to run. Lord Glen walked straight toward the bush where I was hiding. He knew you were there. He must have seen you were there. Stopping right in front of it. I know you're hiding in there. You can come out, he said in a gentle voice. I was told never to be seen because I dirty guests' eyes, so I couldn't come out. If I did, I'd get whipped badly. My hands and feet would be bound, and I'd get hit in the spots where it hurt most. It'd keep going no matter how much I cried or screamed, and I wouldn't be able to move the next day. I never wanted that to happen again. I was scared. I hugged my knees close to my chest, shaking. It's okay, come on out. His voice was even gentler this time, but I was too terrified to move. But then he pulled his hood down so I could see his face from between the leaves. He was smiling softly, more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. His hair was dark as the night sky, and his eyes were so blue they sucked you in. His features made him seem like an angel from a storybook. Pretty. The word I know, or I can stop it. Oops. Well, that does sound pretty. While I sat still, just staring, Lord Glen slipped his hands under my arms and lifted me from the bush before putting me back on the ground. Then he put a hand on my head, whispering, clean. Suddenly my body was shining. The filth coating every bit of me dripped off onto the ground, disappearing. That was magic to make you all clean. Since it isn't a skill, anyone with mana can use it if they practice enough. Lord Glen explained when I tilted my head in confusion. Holding my hand out in front of me, I saw that while I was still covered in cuts and bruises, I was clean. My hair had even gone back to its true light pink color. Thank you, I remembered as I bowed. He patted me on the head in response. That might be the first time anyone has ever patted my head. While I stood there blinking in shock, Lady Adeline came over to me, kneeling so we were eye to eye. Why did she look like she was about to cry? May I ask what your name is? I could hear the tears in her voice, so she might have already cried. I'm guessing she knew more than more than what she revealed, essentially. I'm Chelsea. Since I didn't know how to respond like a noble, I just lowered my head like the old gardener used to. After looking between me and the noble registry in her arms, Lady Adeline gave Lord Glen a nod. I'm Glen, a nationally recognized appraiser. I'm just going to check out your skill, okay? After giving me a kind explanation, Lord Glen stared at the spot just above my head. Is that where his appraisal showed up? Chelsea's skill is seed creation. She can create any seed she wishes for. Lady Adeline's eyes went wide when she heard the skill name as she opened the thick book and looked through it. After a while, she shook her head. It isn't in the skill dictionary. Didn't think so, Lord Glen nodded. Yes, it seems to be a new skill. Kneeling down like Lady Adeline, Lord Glen took my hand. Please, would you allow us to examine and research your skill at the Royal Research Institute for the sake of our country? At a loss for words, I just nodded. I can't believe this! The moment Lady Adeline closed the skill dictionary with a thump, Lady Margaret screeched, rushing at me. Garbage like you shouldn't be allowed to attend the Royal Research Institute. I flinched as she raised her hand, closing my eyes as I waited for impact, but it never came. When I opened my eyes, I saw that Lord Glen had caught her by the wrist. Are you saying that I, a nationally recognized appraiser, am lying? Ooh, don't be questioning this guy. He might say you can't go. His quiet voice seemed to echo through the garden. Frowning, Lady Margaret took her eyes off me, turning toward Lord Glen, but instead of complaining more, she looked shocked. It seemed she was just as surprised by his appearance as I was. Oh, Lord Glen, you're so handsome. You're 10 years old. Who knows how old he is? He could be in his 20s or 30s, so leave him alone. Lady Margaret covered her cheeks with her hands, glancing back at him. Rather than surprised, she might have been in love. Sighing, Lord Glen let go of her wrist. Please excuse Chelsea's carelessness. Lady Medicina finally hobbled out toward us, apologizing. Chelsea didn't do anything. It was your other daughter, said Lord Glen with another sigh. Margaret? Confused, Lady Medicina looked between Lady Margaret and me. Chelsea will also need to go to the Royal Research Institute, so make preparations. Her too? She screeched, baffled. And so both Lady Margaret and I were instructed to go to the Royal Research Institute in the capital. I'd never left the manor grounds before in my life. All I knew was what I could see from the garden. The old gardener told me that the capital was where the king lived. It was a place where all the roads were paved for the carriages with lots of streetlights and stores. He said that it was bright, bustling, and fun. I couldn't believe that useless trash like me could ever go there. While part of me was excited, the rest of me was scared. I might still be whipped for mistakes there. I hope it's at least better than here at the Utaris Manor. I cannot talk today. It's going to be tons better because I highly doubt you're going to get whipped. They'll just, tell you, this is a new skill. We don't know what it's able to do, so we're going to pace ourselves and see what this can do, So yeah, the only one who would try to whip you would be Margaret. Here's hoping they keep her away from you. My first carriage ride. The next morning, a pair of carriages had been sent to the Utaris Manor for us. 2 4-seated carriages painted in ways I'd never seen before. Lord Glen and Lady Adeline were there, and with Lady Margaret, me, and the 4 knights, that made 8. I thought that was why they needed 2 carriages, but apparently the knights were riding on horseback to guard us. That meant 2 people would be boarding each carriage. Why not just take 1 then? When I tilted my head in confusion, Glen gently patted my hair. We've got luggage after all, he said with a smile. While all I had was a small bag with a change of underwear, Lady Margaret brought 2 large bags prepared by Lady Medicina. I nodded understandingly, and Lord Glen pet my head again. Chelsea gets to ride with me, he announced, gently pushing me inside the carriage. Why does that good-for-nothing get to ride with Lord Glen? I could hear Lady Margaret shrieking from outside. Lady Adeline and the knights frowned, but stayed silent. When everything was loaded onto the carriages, we set off. Lord Glen's hair sparkled in the light coming through the small carriage window. He's so pretty, just like an angel. While I was thinking that, our eyes met. What's wrong? He gently questioned me. I quickly looked down, shaking my head. It was rude to look at people. If he had been Lady Medicina, I'd be whipped, just like the doll had me shaking. Oh, that's right. Have you eaten? I shook my head no. I had gotten up at the same time as usual. I had been cleaning right until the carriages came. Nothing had been made for me, and even if it had, I wouldn't have had time to eat it. Lord Glen sighed, mumbling. Emaciation, inhibited growth, psychological trauma, lacerations, bruises. You're just full of status ailments. Oh, he can see that! Girl, you've got to get a skill like that. Since I can't, or not a skill. An ability. If only you could get ability like that, that'd be cool. Since I can't use cure too obviously, I'll just get rid of the emaciation first. I tilted my head, not understanding what he said. Cure her emaciation? Cure? The moment he whispered it, I was surrounded by a faint light. I felt like I was lighter. What was that? I thought. Lord Glen smiled softly at my confusion. That was cure, a healing skill. If you ate while you were emaciated, you'd just end up throwing up any solid, normal foods you try to eat. Keep it a secret, okay? I didn't quite understand, but I knew not to talk about it, so I nodded. Then Lord Glen pulled out a paper bag, handing it to me. I had this made for you since I didn't think you'd have had breakfast. You're hungry, aren't you? I could tell what it was. There was food inside that bag. I swallowed hard as I took the bag from him. Opening it, there was an egg sandwich inside. I'm drooling. Can I eat it? You can eat it, he said with another gentle smile, apparently hearing my unvoiced question. Oh, this guy probably understands exactly what you've probably been through, and I bet he hates it, essentially, because no one wants to find out that a little girl has been treated this badly probably her whole life. So, actually, I don't even know if it's her whole life, or if it was just like a couple years or something, but yeah, yeah, here's hoping she can get some essential therapy. She's gonna need it. Saying a simple thanks to the earth god, I bit into the sandwich. The sweetness of the egg spread through my mouth. It only took half of one side of the sandwich for my stomach to be full. I wanted to eat more, but I just couldn't. What's wrong? Are you full? I nodded at his question. You can eat the rest later. I'll hold it for you until then. Oh, that's right. I never thanked him. Thank you. I quickly blurted out. He pulled out another bag, handing that to me, too. Opening it, I saw a simple cream-colored dress inside. What's this for? I tilted my head again, confused. There's a change of clothes for you. Would you be able to put it on when we stop to give the horses a break? The clothes I was wearing were rags full of holes. He must mean that I have to wear proper clothes, since I'm going to the Royal Research Institute. Thank you. I just kept bowing to him. A while later, we stopped for a break. Since Lord Glen stepped out for a moment, I took the chance to change. The silky dress was a bit big, but the material it was made of was nice. I slipped my old clothes inside my small bag. I think they're probably going to throw those thrown away. Afterwards, I stepped out of the carriage, only to meet eyes with Lady Margaret. She looked shocked for a moment before coming up close. What are you doing in such nice clothes? Lord Glen. And just you? That's not... You have nice clothes all the time, dude! Shut up! She has nothing. That's not fair. When I tried to explain that Lord Glen had just taken pity on me, she cut me off, turning and walking over to him. I let out a long sigh. I was always so nervous when talking to Lady Margaret, even though she was my younger sister. I don't remember it when it was started. One of the knights saw me sigh and looked down at me worriedly. You gave my sister nice clothes, so you must have some for me as well, right? Where are you hiding them? She asked, Lord Glen with a smile. Our mother, Lady Medicina, and Marquis Ackroyd always gave her whatever she wanted. Marquis Ackroyd was Lady Medicina's father, which made him our grandfather. But I was never allowed to call him that. Just like I was told to call my mother and sister Lady, I was always told to call him Marquis Ackroyd. Ackroyd, whatever. He would always get Lady Margaret anything that her heart desired. Toys, clothes, shoes, accessories, anything. Lord Glen would definitely do the same. That was just for Chelsea. I have nothing for you, Lord Glen said with a shake of his head. That doesn't make sense. I should be getting those kinds of presents, not that trash. Lady Margaret complained and fussed, but all Lord Glen did was sigh, staying silent. He didn't do what she asked. I was shocked to learn that not everything went as Lady Margaret willed. Ha ha! Yeah, not everything is going to go to your way, little girl. The carriages rolled through the capital's gate before sunset. The capital of the kingdom of Chronowise is walled, and then the royal castle is walled even further. They call it a citadel. Looking at the little carriage window, I could see the castle surrounded by walls. Everything within the citadel is the king's. The Royal Research Institute is to the west. Their research covers a lot of different things. That's where they'll be researching your skill, Lord Glen told me. When we got a bit closer, they checked our identification. As we neared the castle itself, Lord Glen got out. I need to go make a report, so I'll be leaving you here. All you need to do is stay in the carriage until you get to the entrance to the Royal Research Institute. Someone should be there waiting for you. Excuse me. All right, thank you very much, I said, bowing once again through the small window. Ugh, I hate that feeling. Get a burning sensation in your throat. Not fun. He gave me one last gentle smile before turning and walking toward the castle. His smile really was just as beautiful as an angel's. From there, the carriage made a few turns before stopping completely. We must have arrived at the Royal Research Institute. Just as I was about to open the door for myself, one of the knights who had been guarding us opened it for me. Taking care not to trip, I stepped down to the ground looking up at the buildings before me. The one on the right was large and the same color as the castle, while the left was built of brown bricks. This is the Royal Research Institute, one of the knights told me with a smile. A moment later, Lady Margaret's carriage arrived as well, and she stepped out. Just as the carriages and knights were leaving, two people came out of the gray building wearing white robes with red stoles. One was a man with brown hair and glasses, while the other was a woman with blue hair and red eyes who seemed quite strong-willed. Welcome to the Royal Research Institute. My name is Mirabelle, and this is Tristano. What are your names? The woman, Lady Mirabelle, asked with a smile. I am Margaret, daughter of Baron Urcharis. I'm Chelsea. Lady Margaret introduced herself proudly while I bowed my head as I said my name. Why is she being so self-important when she's only just meeting these people? I've heard a little about the both of you. Which one of you is the one whose skill needs controls training? Me, Lady Margaret announced loudly, looking down at her. Oh, so it's you. I'll be your instructor. Nice to meet you. Lady Mirabelle held her right hand out to Lady Margaret for a handshake, who slapped it away with a scowl. Why is Lady Margaret looking down at them, slapping away their hands and just acting so self-important when we've only just met them? Yeah, lady, you're nothing special. Little girl, you're nothing special. While I wondered that, Lady Mirabelle seemed shocked for a moment before laughing out loud. It seems you need some lessons on manners to go along with your training. This'll be fun. Ooh, put her through the ringer, Mirabelle. Put her through the ringer, please. I'll show you to the door, but the rest is up to you, she said, turning and walking away. Why should I listen to a commoner like you, Lady Margaret shrieked after her. That was when Lord Tristano, who had been watching quietly, finally spoke up. Mirabelle is the daughter of an earl. All the researchers here are either nobles or royalty. The trainees aren't researchers, so sometimes there are a couple of commoners mixed in, but since they have strong skills, they all end up adopted by noble houses. It would be best for you to just assume they're all high-ranked. You're kidding, but she didn't introduce herself with her family name. She didn't have to. In general, nobles were the only ones with family names, and according to Lady Medicina, nobles should look down at the masses. But this old gardener told me that nobles wouldn't exist without the commoners underneath them. I didn't know who was right or how I should treat commoners, but if Lady Mirabelle was going to be her instructor, I thought that she should treat her with respect no matter her rank. That's what I'm saying. We value achievements over rank here, so none of us use our family names, Lord Tristano said with a wry smile. You've done it now. She's going to be extra hard on you. Ha ha! That's what you get for treating people badly. If you had just treated her with respect right away off the bat because she's your instructor, you wouldn't be getting so much. You wouldn't be getting put through the ringer later. Lady Margaret's eyes widened at his words. What are you doing? Get over here already. Lady Mirabelle beckoned her over from the entrance to the brown brick building. Carrying both of her heavy bags alone, Lady Margaret rushed after her. As I watched them go, Lord Tristano called out to me, You must be the one with the newly discovered skill. Unlike Mirabelle, I'm an investigator or maybe researcher. Just think of me as a helper. You can call me Triss. Lord Triss smiled at me, reaching his right hand out. I immediately took it and we shook hands. I'm called a failure at home, so I'd like to apologize in advance for all the trouble I'll cause you. I bowed deeply after our handshake. That's an awful thing to be called. And you're the daughter of a noble too, aren't you, Miss Chelsea? You shouldn't bow your head so much. But at home I get whipped if I don't bow. No one's going to be whipping you here. Let's get you to your room. He interrupted me in a fluster before walking slowly to match my pace. Oh, so about life here. As he walked, Lord Triss told me about the Research Institute. You're going to get your own maids. We'll also cover your clothes, shoes, food, everything like that. What else? Oh, you'll get paid too. Huh? He was saying so much I couldn't follow it all. We haven't had anyone with a new skill in the past few decades, so it's super rare. Just know that the Royal Research Academy will take care of you, so don't worry. Seemingly realizing I didn't understand, he summed everything up with a smile. Ah, that's right. The meals here are delicious, so that's another thing you can look forward to, he said, pressing his palms to his cheeks and drooling. He must love the food there if he's drooling. You mean I can eat every day? Every day, three meals, and lots of snacks, Lord Triss said with a shocked look. So I can eat every day? This is like a dream. Oh, the poor guy probably feels so sorry for her. She's acting like this over getting at least a meal a day. I thought I'd be getting whippings like I did back home, but if I could eat every day, I could handle that. With hope brimming in my chest, I stepped into the brown brick building that they called the lodging house. Right after entering, we turned to the left and kept walking for a while before stopping at a door with two women in maid uniforms in front of it. The door itself was painted black and seemed quite heavy. Past this door is your room, Miss Chelsea. I'll come pick you up tomorrow. Or tomorrow morning you can ask your personal maids for details, Lord Triss said, handing me a golden key on a chain. Then with a little wave, he headed back the way we came. I looked down at the key in my hand. It was sparkling just like treasure would. I could look at it forever. Let's get you inside, the light brown-haired maid spoke up while I was admiring the key. I nodded, stepping up to the door. I put the key into the lock, turning it. Then after slowly pulling it out, the door opened. Wow, it's so big! It was about 4 times the size of the sunroom at the Ucharis Manor. Is this really my room? Really? This is the room for those who awaken to a newly discovered skill. Really? You guys have a specific room for people like that? Huh. Okay. It really is your room. Both of the maids smiled brightly at my question. Now inside you go, the dark brown-haired maid said, gently pushing me forward. The room was split into 5 distinct spaces, with a low table and sofa near the door making a little parlor. A bit farther in, there was a dining area with a table and 2 chairs. To the right of that was a compact little kitchen. To the left of the dining area were a desk and chair, along with a large, cute, canopied bed to complete the bedroom set. Between the bedroom and the hall was a door which turned out to be a walk-in closet, filled with dresses, gowns, shoes, and accessories. You don't have to worry about your clothes anymore! You can pick whatever you want! Lastly, through the door on the farthest left wall was a dressing room, bathroom, and toilet. Am I dreaming? There's no way somewhere as wonderful as this could be my room. I pinched my cheek back hard to try and wake myself up, but it hurt, so it must not be a dream. The maids, who had been watching me with smiles, lined up in front of me. My name is Gina, the maid with light brown hair braided on one side and slightly droopy eyes introduced herself. I'm Martha, said the other one, whose dark brown hair was in a ponytail. She looked a bit younger and more energetic than Lady Gina. My name is Chelsea. I'd like to apologize in advance for any trouble I may cause you, I said, bowing deeply. The 2 maids just blinked at me. Oh no, I bowed out of habit when Lord Triss told me not to. It's just a habit, girl. You're gonna have to break that at some point. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get punished. I braced myself for the whip, but all I did was smile at me. Lady Gina, Lady Martha, you aren't cross with me? I asked nervously. They both tilted their heads, confused. Why would we be cross with you? Ah, but remember, we are your personal maids. You mustn't address us as lady. Yes, please just speak to us, plainly. Having lived my life referring to everyone as lord and lady, their response shocked me. It would be far too rude for trash like me to speak so plainly to anyone. Can I be just a little bit polite, I asked, after a pause, to which they reluctantly agreed. As I breathed out a sigh of relief, Gina suddenly looked serious, speaking. We have been told about your situation. Based on that, we will need to teach you about manners, how to act like a noble, and other things a noble must know. In simple terms, we'll make you into a proper lady, Lady Chelsea, Martha said with a smile. I knew that I was no good as I was, so I nodded obediently. Seeing that I agreed, their eyes sparkled excitedly. Now, to set you off on the path of a proper lady, we must start with your appearance. Which means, off to the bathroom we go! You're about to get a big old bath, girl. A nice, hot, soapy bath. A nice bath that you probably haven't had in forever. Huh? They all but chased me into the bathroom, stripping my dress off. Well, wait, I can bathe myself, I exclaimed. Both of the maids smiled at me as I tried to cover myself in embarrassment. A no can do. This is your first step on the path to ladyhood. Leave everything to us maids. That's what they're here for. They're here to help you do everything. We'll need to get you used to this. There's no point in resisting. I gave up, letting them do as they wanted. Since Lord Glennon used killing on me yesterday, I should have been clean already, but they still washed my hair before rubbing some kind of cream I'd never seen before into it. After letting it sit for a while, they rinsed it, and my hair went from dry to silky. It even smelled nice. It's just like magic, I whispered, only to get another smile from the two maids. I'm assuming that was conditioner they used in your hair. After my hair was finished, they washed me with foamy soap, but it hurt a lot due to the wounds all over my body. Seeing that made both of them frown. Oh. Yeah, Glenn's gonna have to do something about that. After I was all clean, they shuffled me out of the bathroom with a fluffy towel. Normally we'd give you a massage with beauty cream, but due to your injuries, we'll focus on getting you healed first, said Gina, as Martha rubbed some kind of minty-smelling blue liquid over my body. Apparently it was ointment. We'll need to get a healer to come use cure on here. I could hear Gina whisper to Martha. You're right, it's worse than I had expected. After that, they dressed me in soft underwear and a dress made of a smooth material that I had never seen before from the walk-in closet. I was surprised since I didn't think they'd do that much. Next, they led me to the dressing room and sat me before a big mirror. It had been a while since I'd last seen my own reflection, but I really was ugly. No, you're not! Oh, yeah, you definitely need your bangs cut, girl. My bangs were down to my nose. Jesus Christ, you can't even see when they're that long. So I wouldn't meet anyone's gaze. I'd cut the back myself, but perhaps because Lady Medicina and Lady Margaret would also cut it by force as punishment, it was all different lengths. And my big, buggy, purple eyes were creepy. As Gina was brushing my hair, she stopped suddenly. Lady Chelsea, would it be all right if I evened out your hair? I knew that I would be out of place here otherwise, so I nodded. That prompted Martha to pull out a cape and a scissors. Gina took them, and after fastening the cape around my neck, she got to work cutting the hair on the back of my head. As the scissors snipped, the length of my hair was evened out. Please close your eyes so I can do your bangs. I obediently shut my eyes and listened to the snipping. After a while, I felt a soft brush touch my face, cleaning the bits of hair from it. Then the cape was removed. I'm finished. You can open your eyes now. When I opened my eyes again, I saw myself reflected in the mirror looking different than I had ever been before. My bangs were just below my eyebrows, and the rest of my hair was just long enough to stop between my chin and shoulders. It was a very refreshing haircut. Though my eyes were still buggy, my hair should have been suitable for the Royal Research Institute now. Thank you very much, I said to Gina, taking care not to bow my head too low. She gave me a smile in response. Leaving the dressing room, I could smell something delicious. I followed the smell to the dining table, and there was warm food ready on the table. Brown bread, yellow soup, a colorful vegetable salad, and hamburg steak. Everything I'd always wanted to try was at once. Please sit, Martha urged me to sit down as I stood there staring. Looking closely, I realized the chair was a high one, used for children. And you're small. Oh. Being that I'd never been fed properly since I was small, I was very short. It warmed my heart to know that they'd thought of that just for me. After I sat in the chair, Martha pushed it in for me. Lord Choice was right. I really do get to eat. I'm allowed to have this, right? I asked with a big gulp, only to get a strong nod back from Martha. Oh. How much of this is she even going to be able to eat? She said she couldn't even eat a full egg sandwich. She ate half of it before she was full. She's only going to be able to take a bite of each before she's full. After saying thanks to the god of the earth, I went to pick up my fork, only to realize when the old gardener had been teaching me stuff, he told me that nobles had to watch how they eat. How do you use cutlery properly? What's the matter? Gina asked, seeing me frozen in front of my meal. I don't know how to eat properly, I replied as my stomach grumbled loudly. How embarrassing. After thinking for a moment, Gina smiled and said, Don't worry about that for tonight. We'll begin teaching you table manners from tomorrow on. Hearing that, I gave her a nod before stabbing the hamburg steak in front of me with my fork. Starving, I bit into it, delighting in the juiciness of the meat. Next, I picked up the bread, biting into it. It's so soft! I licked for the soup. I drank straight from it! You didn't even use a spoon! Oh, that must have been very hard for them to watch. Oh. It was pumpkin soup. Pumpkin soup? I've heard of pumpkin pie, but not pumpkin soup. How would that taste? How long had it been since I last had warm soup? The carrot dressing on the salad wasn't sour, so it was delicious too. After eating a single bite of everything like I thought, my stomach was positively full. Oh no, I gulped. Oh, that's what happens when you haven't eaten that much, or haven't eaten much of anything in forever. Oh my god, you're gonna have to get used to eating a lot of food, girl. They gotta get you fattened up, girl. Is the food not to your liking? Martha asked, seeing me stop again. No, I'm full. After I said it, Martha covered her mouth with her hand, tearing up. We had heard about it, but you really hadn't been allowed to eat up until now, had you? I nodded. Your stomach must have shrunken, Gina added sadly. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because when you're like not eating near as much as you're supposed to, your stomach, and you're like for gastric bypass, your stomach, and you're trying to, trying to watch what you eat, and you stop eating like large portions, your stomach is going to shrink to accommodate that. And just like this, oh, but that's for the worst. Alright, I'll make sure to ask the chefs to make your meals small, healthy, and yummy, Martha said, placing the food and cutlery on the cart before wheeling it out of the room. Surely they can keep that for leftovers, but I guess some of that's not going to be good leftover. Oh, I feel so bad for her. Number 2, the Royal Research Institute. Wait, how long have I been recording for? Not very long. The next morning I woke up before dawn as usual. If I didn't hurry up and clean, I'd get another whipping from Lady Medicina. As I slipped out of bed, rubbing my eyes, I realized something. Oh, I'm not at the manor anymore, I mumbled, flopping back onto the bed. I won't be whipped here for not cleaning first thing in the morning, I think. Apparently Lord Trista said that no one here would lay a hand on me, so I should be fine, right? But since they're letting me stay here, shouldn't I at least do the cleaning? No, that's what the maids are for! Nodding to myself, I got up again. If I was going to clean, I'd have to get changed first. I decided I would wear the old rags I was in when we first left the manor. If the others see you wearing that, they're going to cry! After Lord Glenn gave me my new dress, I'd put them in the small bag I was carrying as well. Looking around the room, I didn't see it. I remember getting undressed before we went into the bathroom, so it should be around... They took it! They took it! They knew they were going to burn it! Burn it! Burn those ugly rags! Thinking that, I peeked into both the dressing room and the bathroom, but there was nothing. I checked in the walk-in closet too, still nothing. Not that I had expected to be in there. Giving up on my search, I checked the walk-in closet for something else to wear. Unfortunately, they were all so pretty and nice that I couldn't bring myself to dirty them by cleaning. I'd have to give up for now. I'll ask Gina and Martha about where the bag with my old clothes is later. They got rid of it. They threw it out. Because they didn't want to see you have to wear that stuff ever again. Wear the bag with my old clothes in later. As I sat on the edge of my bed sighing, I heard a quiet knock on the door. Come in, I responded, only for Martha to rush inside. I was sent for by the knights outside your door, Martha said, breathing heavily. Huh? The Ucharis Barony wasn't all that wealthy, and I didn't think useless trash like me was of any value other than as a maid. So why would I need knights waiting in front of my door? When I tilted my head confused, Martha answered, the brand new skill that you possess has yet to be investigated, Lady Chelsea. It may be useful or useless, but it can also be used to make money or for war. Since everything is still unknown, that will make you a very enticing target for people both within our country and the outside of it. That is why you will always have knights guarding you. I see. My mouth dropped open in shock. So you needn't worry about anything because the knights will protect you, but I was told they heard sounds from your room. Is anything the matter? The fact that I was being guarded had surprised me, but her words brought me back to reality. I'm sorry for making noise. Since everything I did made a lot of noise, Lady Medicina had always scolded me, telling me to be as quiet as possible. She's angry with me. I faced downward, bracing myself. It wasn't loud at all. Can you not sleep? Martha asked, kneeling in front of me to look me in the eye. I shook my head no. It was still before dawn. It's much too early to get up. I always get up around now. This early? She fretted. I gave her another nod. I would wake up before dawn and clean the manor. When I woke up at my usual time, I started looking for something to change into that I could wear to clean. So you were looking around your room for a change of clothes. I nodded to her at once again. It seems as if I'll need to explain things, Martha murmured with a sigh, placing a hand on her cheek. You're a very important person because of your new skill, Lady Chelsea. You must sleep and eat well so that it can be investigated properly, because if you're not getting the nutrition and the rest you need, then your skill might not work the way it's supposed to. Or it could backfire. Who knows? So that's why you have to, rest. Lord Glenn had asked me to participate in the research of my skill. I knew that I would need to do my best with that, but I didn't see how that connected with eating and sleeping. When I tilted my head in confusion, Martha did so in kind. I just don't see how eating and sleeping would affect that, I said, choosing my words carefully so I wouldn't make her angry. She looked at me blankly before replying. If you don't get a good night's sleep, you might get sleepy in the middle of tests, and if you don't eat properly, you might be too hungry to concentrate on research. I see. I nodded again in understanding, and cleaning is a job for the special cleaning maids. If you do it for them, they won't have any work to do. And it should be done while it's bright. If you do it before dawn, you wouldn't be able to see well enough to clean. So that's why I always got yelled at for not cleaning properly. I was surprised, but I should have realized this sooner. We thought that the clothes in your bag may be important to you, so we sent them off to the laundry on the laundry maids. They should be back in a few days. Oh, so they didn't get rid of them. They just got them cleaned. But once they see what's in the bag, they might not want to send it back, considering it's got, you said, had holes in it and stuff. The old gardener had given them to me, so their assumption was spot on. And listen closely, because this is important. Your personal maids must wake you up before you do, she chided. That meant if I got up before dawn, Gina and Martha would have to wake up even earlier than that. Oh no, they wouldn't have time to sleep then. Martha smiled as I became flustered. So you understand now. If you can't sleep, would you like for me to bring you some hot milk? I shook my head, climbing back into bed. I'll sleep, I'm sorry. It's all right, it was your fault. It's our fault for not explaining properly, she said, adjusting the duvet covering me. It made me feel kind of nice. Have a good sleep, she said softly before leaving the room. I fell back asleep soon after. It was a little before the 8th morning bell when Martha returned. Good morning, Lady Chelsea, she greeted me. Good morning, Martha. I replied from my spot on the bed, getting a smile in return. Let's get you ready. Preparations started the moment she said that. My face was washed, hair brushed, and I put on a light green dress. Of course, she helped dress me just like she did yesterday, so I just kind of froze. The green dress was the type where the skirt would swirl out when you spun around, which I loved. It was so fun that I just kept spinning until Martha stopped me. She'll get dizzy and fall over. Once I was all dressed and ready, Gina wheeled in a cart carrying breakfast. There was a small piece of bread and warm soup. There was also ham and vegetable salad, both chopped up into fine small bits. I could tell that it had been prepared while thinking of my small stomach. I felt kind of bad. Not really. They have to be able to handle your dietary restrictions until you start, being able to eat more and more. The yummy smell made my stomach rumble. I sat down in my child-sized seat, thanked the earth god for the meal, and went to start eating until Martha stopped me. As we mentioned yesterday, we'll begin teaching you noble table manners today. Since it would be difficult to remember them all at once, we'll do it bit by bit. Let's start with how to eat bread and soup. Bread was to be eaten by ripping off small bite-sized pieces, while soup should be eaten with a spoon. There were lots of other rules, but apparently we were only covering those today. I thought it'd be harder, but both seemed easy to do and remember. I ate slowly, taking care to follow Martha's instructions. Of course, it didn't take long for me to get full. I thought about forcing myself to eat more, but then stopped, thinking that it would just cause more trouble. After breakfast, I moved to the sofa in the parlor to wait for Lord Tris. I've made some tea, so please drink it while you wait. Even though Gina went to the trouble of making me tea, I was so nervous that I didn't drink a drop. Just before the 10th bell, there was a knock on the door. Gina opened it slightly to see who it was. Lord Tristano has come for you, she said, turning back to me. I stood up from the couch, heading to the door excitedly. Lord Tris was outside, wearing the same white robe and red stole as yesterday. Wow, I almost didn't recognize you. You look super cute, he said with a big smile. Martha seemed to be puffing herself up proudly, but I might have been wrong. Yeah, because she was the one who got you ready. That was complimenting her handiwork, essentially. This dress is really cute, I responded, pinching the skirt and spreading it out for him to see. Martha may have picked it, but it really was cute. I mean, the dress is cute too, but I meant you were cute. Anyway, let's get going. He scratched his cheek before slowly starting to walk, and I fell in step behind him. Neither Gina nor Martha were coming, so they just smiled as they sent me off. Stepping into the hallway, I saw the 2 knights Martha mentioned standing by my door. Both of them had little yellow capes over one shoulder. I gave them a little bow, trying to apologize for causing a ruckus before dawn, and thanks for protecting me. They didn't say anything, but both looked surprised. We left the lodging house, moving to the entrance of the gray building next door. It was 5 stories tall with lots of windows. Come on in. I nodded at Lord Tris, stepping inside. As soon as we entered, he showed something that must have been identification at the reception desk nearby. When I started getting flustered because I didn't have any of my own, the lady at the desk just smiled at me. I heard all about you. Welcome. Giving her a little bow, I kept following Lord Tris. After walking through the hallway for a little bit, my view suddenly expanded. There was a very large atrium in the center of the building. filled with more people than I could count. There was a woman with purplish red hair wearing a white robe with a yellow stole standing on the platform by the wall. As soon as she saw me, she beckoned me over. Chelsea, over here. Doing as she asked and stopping beside her, I could see the faces of the people in the hall. Off to the side was a group of girls and boys around my age, or a little older, all wearing the same black clothes and gray robes. I could see that Lady Margaret was one of them, giving me a scornful look. Besides them, everyone wore white robes with red, blue, yellow, or green stoles. Is it okay for me to not be wearing a robe at all? I wanted to ask, but it really didn't seem like a time to. I'd have to ask Lord Triss later. You'd probably get yours later. The woman clapped her hands loudly and the hall fell silent. This is Chelsea. She has just awakened to a new type of skill. Make sure you treat her well. Ooh, Margaret's not gonna like that. I froze up as everyone's eyes fell on me. I could see Lord Triss signaling for me to bow in the direct distance, so I rushed to lower my head politely. I am the chief of the Royal Research Academy. The kids in gray robes are the control trainees, and the people in white robes are all researchers. You can tell who works where by the color of their stoles. Yellow means martial arts, red means magic, green means technical, and blue means unique. We'll be doing research and observation of your skill, but I will promise you that we'll never be rough with you. That's it. Meeting's over. The moment she finished, everyone who had gathered around her split off to their own sections again. The only ones who were left were the Chief, Lord Triss, and Lord Glenn, who had appeared during the Chief's introduction. I can't talk today! Ugh! Let me welcome you once again to the Royal Research Institute, the Chief said after we stepped down from the platform, holding her right hand out toward me. I immediately took it with my own right hand, shaking it. I'll be leaving everything else to Tristano. He's a lot more capable than he looks, so you can depend on him. Unlike the strict air she had about her on stage, she was smiling now. Ugh, what do you mean by that? Stop it already, Lord Triss groaned. I'm only telling the truth. I'll be returning to my room now. The Chief walked away, leaving Lord Triss looking doubtful. Lord Glenn moved closer to fill in her place. You cut your hair. It looks nice, he said with a gentle smile. He really is like an angel. Due to the special circumstances, I'll be taking part in your research too, Chelsea. Yay! We'll get Lord Glenn more. He's awesome. Maybe he could be like a father figure to her or something, depending on how old he is. I nodded at his words, only to get another pat on my head. Oh, he's so cute! I love him! I love him! He's sweet, he's nice! Oh, I wonder what the hell he's like when he's mad. That's what I'd like to know. Kick butt. He patted my head a lot since we first met. Is he treating me like a little kid? I mean, yeah, I was short, but I was 12, and in 3 years I'd be an adult just like him. Oh, so we're going with the 15 is the come of age thing. Okay. But even as I started to think that way, I remembered Lady Medicina calling me ugly, useless, and unsuitable to be a member of the Eucharis barony, and I fell silent again. And Triss, while I'm here, make sure to treat me like Glenn the researcher, Lord Glenn said, fluttering his white robe. What? You can't be serious. Only in front of Miss Chelsea, okay? It'll be all on you if the higher-ups get after me later, okay? Yep, I'll take care of it. They started whispering to each other partway through, but I couldn't really catch what they were saying. The three of us left the hall, moving to a sunny laboratory in the south part of the building. Inside the lab was a big table with 4 chairs, a desk and chair for studying, a 3-seat sofa, and a lot of bookcases. This is your personal lab, Miss Chelsea, Lord Triss said, sitting me down in a chair by the table. He sat on the other side while Lord Glenn sat down on the sofa. Gotta check first, but what is your skill? My skill is apparently making any kind of seed I wish for. After I told him what Lord Glenn had told me, Lord Triss started flipping through some papers. Okay, just as the report says. Can you show me once as an example, he asked, pointing to a tray laying on the table. When I just looked at the tray, tilting my head, he said, is something the matter? How do you use skills? Oh, that's right, you only got appraised a few days ago. Of course you wouldn't know. He grimaced before explaining with most skills, you just think of what you want it to do while saying the skill name out loud. You can also say what you want to happen out loud before the skill name when you don't want to mess up or while you get used to it. When Lord Glenn had used cure back in the carriage, he'd added cure her emaciation before saying the skill name too. Now then, try it. I nodded before whispering, make a seed creation. A round, flat seed the size of my thumbnail appeared out of nowhere, dropping onto the tray with a plink. You did it! What kind of seed is this? Lord Triss asked, looking at the seed from all angles. A pumpkin seed, I replied. That's what I'd been imagining before I said the skill name. Oh, she did it! She did it! She can use her skill! Yay! Good job! After you break a pumpkin open, the seeds are all inside mixed with the guts, and when you break through the seed's shell, you can eat what's inside. I was so happy when the old gardener told me that. Since the cooks usually threw them out anyway, Lady Medicina couldn't get mad at them for giving seeds to me. I was shocked to learn that I could create something to eat on days when I went without food. Okay, so we've got 1 pumpkin seed. How many can you make with 1 cast? Let me try. Make some seeds. Seed creation. This time I said the skill name while imagining lots of pumpkin seeds, but only a single seed appeared. Just 1, huh? I'll try again. Make some seeds. Seed creation. I tried again doing the same thing, but still only 1 seed dropped down onto the tray. Okay, so considering how bad she was, like health-wise, when they found her and brought her here, it makes sense that she can only make 1 at the moment. I'm surprised she could even make 1. Seems like you can only make 1 per cast, Lord Triss noted, jotting something down in his notes with a pen. Next, I want you to try to make some other seeds. Is any kind okay? Yep, as long as it isn't a pumpkin seed. I nodded, imagining a different kind of seed as I whispered, make a seed, seed creation. A sunflower seed dropped down to the tray. You can eat the insides of them too. That's a sunflower seed, right? Great. Now try another one. I was about to nod again, but then I froze. I couldn't think of any types of seeds other than pumpkin and sunflower. There were no flower beds back at the Ucharos Manor, and all the old gardener did was cut the grass, take care of the lawn, and trim the shrubbery. I'd never seen him plant any seeds. When he noticed I wasn't moving, Lord Triss tilted his head, asking, "What's the matter?" I don't know any other seeds. Ah, I see. That's a bit of a problem. Anything she doesn't know, she can learn. Seeing Lord Triss and I fall silent again, Lord Glenn spoke up from his pile on the sofa. We could ask the gardeners to show her lots of different seeds. Oh yeah, I could just learn. Before, I'd done nothing but get yelled at, so I never had a chance to learn, so I could start now. I nodded to myself at his words. That's true, then let's just see how many you can make for now. Alright, I said, before making a bunch of sunflower seeds in a row. Okay, we've got 3 pumpkin seeds and 6 sunflower seeds. Next will be number 10. I nodded. Since I'd made more sunflower seeds, I'd switched to pumpkin again to even things up. I cast it again. I'll make pumpkin seeds next. Seed creation. At the same moment, a pumpkin seed dropped onto the tray with a plink. My body suddenly felt super heavy, and I lost consciousness. Okay, she could only make 10 before passing out. Which, I mean, to be fair, like I said, her health, the way it is, I'm surprised she could make that much before passing out. If I'm being honest. And that's sad. Oh, crap! He's freaking out! Interlude 1. Glenn and Triss. A thunk echoed through the room. What? Chelsea, daughter of Baron Ucharos and owner of the brand new skill Seed Creation, slammed her head against the table in front of her. She didn't move an inch afterward. I jumped up from the couch, running over to her and checking her out. I didn't have to use my appraisal skill to hear her snoring gently. Why'd she fall asleep so suddenly? Triss exclaimed, standing half off his seat. Turning appraisal on silently, I looked at the status floating above her head and saw that her mana bar was flashing red empty. Of course. It looks like she ran out of mana and fell asleep. Oh, that's right. You've got a high-level appraisal skill, huh? I forced a smile. Appraisal was a skill that let the user see things about a target and could be used silently once they practiced enough. Skills were divided into 5 stages. Or 5 levels: Sage level, High, Upper, Mid, and Low, according to a person's appraisal skill level. Can you have multiple skills? Or can you only have one? The user could learn the target's name, age, health points, mana points, status ailments, skills. Oh, multiple skills then. Okay. Class, titles, all kinds of things. But for every level but Sage, the target would be able to hide things if they wished hard enough. Aside from that, statuses other than the truth could be shown. If the target had been convinced elsewise by the people around them. For example, if a kid who didn't know their own birthday was told, "Today's your birthday," by someone and they believed them, the kid's birthday would show up as that day to appraisal. Oh, so if they believe something they're lied about, it'll become true to appraisal, essentially. Things someone really wanted to hide and things they'd been convinced otherwise of could only be seen by Sage-level users, and there weren't even enough of those Sage-level appraisal users in the world to count on one hand. But I might have been one of those few. Unlike all the lower-level appraisal users, Sage-level users were special because they could increase the amount of information shown to them according to how much mana they used to do it. Seeing the target's name, health, and mana bars barely took any mana, for example, but on the other hand, using enough mana to put me out of commission for the day, I could see everything, including things that the target themselves didn't know. or have been hiding. Honestly, since it was such a cheat skill, I just told people that I was a high level instead. The only ones who knew the truth were the king and his queen. And by the way, I could easily count on how many times I actually exhausted myself using appraisal. But she's only made 10 seeds total. Does Miss Chelsea's skill really take that much mana to use? No, the skill doesn't take much mana at all, so why'd she fall asleep then? Because her total mana is ridiculously low. The Crown Prince has more at 3 years old than she does now. That's way too low, Triss nearly shattered in shock as he stumbled backwards. Chelsea grew up abused in the Ucharis Bannery. Since she was barely given the absolute minimum nourishment necessary, she was much shorter than a 12-year-old should be and withering away. Plus, she'd been beaten, whipped, and suffered mental abuse as well. I could tell all that immediately from the status ailments on her. Since her situation was so severe, it would take a Sage-level cure user to heal them all. Sage-level users could bring anyone to their normal state as long as they weren't dead. Be it lost limbs, severe burns, difficult status ailments, they could all be cured, but they couldn't heal illness. Because it was such a miraculous skill, Sage-level cure users were worshipped as saints, and there were only a few. I may or may not also be a Sage-level cure user, too. Dude! I know why you're not told about... I know why you never told anyone this, because, you don't want the drama or whatever, but... Yeah. The only ones who know that were the king and queen and the royal healer, Ishal. If I could, I wanted to heal all of Chelsea's status ailments, but if it was discovered that I was Sage level, the church would make me a saint and I'd probably end up having to lead the country. Since I owed so much to His Majesty, I wanted to avoid that. Let's move her to the sofa for now, Triss said while I was lost in thought, scooping Chelsea up. Wow, she's 12, right? How could she be lighter than my 8-year-old niece? She's that malnourished! He looked upset as he laid her down on the sofa. Oh yeah, when I first lifted her up from the shrubbery, she was just skin and bones. Of course she would be, since she'd barely been fed. I hadn't checked her weight when I used appraisal. It'd be rude to do that to a 12-year-old girl. Wait, has anyone with the appraisal skill other than me checked her out? I'd reported that she had a bunch of status ailments, but I hadn't specified any further. If I got the king's permission, I might be allowed to use cure to heal them all. I just feel so bad for her. So do I, which is precisely why I need to go check in with the higher-ups. What? The only person higher than you is... I nodded to him and left the room. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm gonna continue. I want to see what'll happen. Out of mana. I woke up to the sound of lots of bells. It was probably around midday. After sitting up and having a stretch, I looked around not recognizing where I was. No one else was in the room. When did I fall asleep? Having another look around, I saw that I was on a sofa and there was a big table nearby. Ah, that's right. This was my personal lab, and Lord Triss, Lord Glenn, and I were investigating my skill. As soon as I made a 10th seed, my body suddenly felt very heavy and I fainted. Or rather fell asleep. Was that normal? As I tilted my head in thought, the door opened with a click. It was Lord Triss carrying a bunch of things. Oh, great, you're up! I brought you a sandwich from the dining hall. Saying that, he set the plate with the sandwich, 2 cups, and a jug of water on the table. He then filled the cups. Tempted by the sandwich, I walked over and sat in a chair. Now let's eat, he said, sitting in the chair across from me. Thank you, I said, giving a short prayer to the earth god before picking up a sandwich. It was about 1/4 the size of a normal one, and it was filled with lettuce, sauce, and chicken. I was drooling, but since I didn't know sandwich eating manners, I observed Lord Triss first. He just shoved it in his mouth, though, so I did the same. It was delicious. The crunchy lettuce and the salty sweet sauce covered chicken went well together. Now you're making me hungry! The sandwiches were tiny, but I was full from just a single one. As I had a drink, I realized Lord Triss was staring at me. After that, he poked his own forehead. I wasn't sure what he was trying to tell me. After you made a 10th seed, you ran out of mana and fell straight asleep like this, he said, mimicking slamming his head against the table. Huh? Skills use up mana. When you get low, you start to get tired, and when you're completely out, anyone would just conk out like that. While I listened to his explanation, I felt my forehead and realized there was a bump on it. It made a real good thunk. It didn't hurt, but it didn't feel nice either. I furrowed my brow while Lord Triss looked at me worriedly. A door clicked open, and in came Lord Glenn. Looks like you're awake again, and Triss is here. Great. How'd it go? Giving me his usual gentle, angelic smile, Lord Glenn sat down in the chair beside me. Cutting straight to the chase, we're going to be cutting Chelsea's skill research time down for now. I tilted my head, not knowing why things were changing so suddenly. As it is, Chelsea, your total mana is less than that of a 3-year-old. What? Less than a 3-year-old? But I was 12! Dude, do you not realize how bad your health is? With how little you got to eat and how short... You should have realized it because of how short you are. It's because you're so malnourished that your mana never got to grow too. If we're going to keep studying your skill, first we're going to have to seriously focus on increasing your mana pool, explained Lord Glenn, pausing to look in my face. Actually, do you even know what mana is, Chelsea? What mana is? I knew it was in your body, but I didn't really feel it. I shook my head as this question. They never taught you, huh? Nope, because they've been treating her like a servant. I'd been cleaning the manor for as long as I could remember. I never went to school like common children or got to study with private teachers like Lady Margaret. I was taught how to read, write, and do basic math by the old gardener, the chefs, and maids. They excused it by saying I needed to be able to read the cleaning products, names, and directions, but now that I thought about it, they were probably doing it for my sake. After talking with the higher-ups, we decided that other than skill research time, Chelsea needs time to grow her mana pool and study. Does that mean I'd be allowed to learn stuff? I blinked at Lord Glenn. I'll be teaching her, which means, Triss, you're going to have some free time. Sounds like it. You'll be helping out the chief. You don't mean paperwork? Lord Triss bemoaned. Oh, no, you'll be working the fields. Really? That's perfect, he cheered, raising both hands in the air. But wasn't fieldwork hard? I tilted my head confusedly at Lord Glenn, and he gave me another pat. Triss has the earth magic skill, so he'd be good at working in the fields. Yep, it's great seeing all the crops slightly from my magic. Lord Triss's eyes sparkled. He must have really loved working out there. So for today, Chelsea, we'll have the rest of the day off while Lord Glenn started. I can go to the fields, right? Got it. See you, Miss Chelsea, Lord Triss said quickly before leaving the room with a skip in his step. It's adorable. I love these guys. They're awesome. No, I was going to tell him that he'd be starting in the fields tomorrow, so he'd have today off, but... Lord Glenn mumbled, watching after him with a conflicted look on his face. Whatever. Since he's gone, we can talk about something else. What will we talk about? He looked really serious, so it must have been important. I sat myself up, looking at him. I did it yesterday in the carriage, but I want to heal your wounds today. My hand shot up to the bump on my forehead from when I whacked it against the table when I ran out of mana. Other than your forehead, you got lots of other cuts and bruises, right? Since I used appraisal, I know all about them. Since he'd appraised my skill too, I wasn't surprised to find out he knew about everything else. I'm gonna heal everything, but I've got one request, okay? I nodded. I don't know if you trust me or if you're just pure-hearted. I'd think you'd ask what was going to happen before you'd agree. He was muttering something with a strained smile. I was about to ask what he said, but he shook his head at me lightly. I'm going to be healing all of your status ailments too. But my request is for you to keep this all a secret. Okay, I nodded lower this time. I didn't know why he'd want me to keep it a secret, but if he wanted me to, I would. It's best that you don't know. He gave me another gentle smile, patting my head once again. It'll probably be pretty bright, so you should close your eyes. I immediately did as he asked. I know I was the one to ask, but she just closed her eyes that easily while alone in a room with the man. I'm worried for her future. Maybe I should teach her that kind of thing too. He was muttering again, but I didn't catch any of it. Oh, yeah, you might want to get her some of that teaching too. She's a little too naive. Heal all her wounds and status ailments. Cure. The moment he cast it, it felt like a wind started blowing through my body. It stumbled and stopped in places, but it eventually faded. You can open your eyes now. Opening them slowly, I saw Lord Glenn's dazzling face in front of me. How do you feel? Anything off? I spurred by his words. I touched my forehead, only to feel no bump. I could move my arms and legs like normal, but they seemed even lighter than before. I don't think so, I replied. Have your maids check out your wounds when you get back to your room. I'll walk you there, Lord Glenn said, getting up. Though the lodging house was really close, I was really tired. I thought I'd fall asleep walking. Are you okay? I could hear Lord Glenn asking me, but I couldn't answer. I felt something hold my hand, though it was warm. Holding someone else's hand is so comforting. While I was facing out, we reached my room. Right as soon as we walked in, Lord Glenn explained things to Gina and Martha. I had a healer use cure on Chelsea. Her wounds should be all healed, so check for me. As you wish. Other than that, she had a bunch of bad status ailments, like inhibited growth, so they cured those as well. There might be some big changes, so just watch out. It seems like she's already falling asleep. Yeah, it might be a side effect of healing those status ailments. Take good care of her. Gina and Martha bowed deeply to him. They were talking about something, but I was so sleepy I didn't catch any of it. Just as I was about to collapse, Lord Glenn caught me. After that, he just lifted me up, but I couldn't move. I'm sorry. I managed to squeeze out an apology, but I couldn't stay awake any longer. His face was so close. Idly thinking that his dark blue hair was sparkling, I fell asleep. Poor girl. Oh, we can see what Margaret's been up to. Oh, I hope that Mirabelle's been putting her through the ringer. Please, get her some comeuppance. My name is Margaret, daughter of Baron Eucharis. Just yesterday, Lord Glenn, a nationally recognized appraiser who was wonderful and as beautiful as an angel, that's what Chelsea thinks too, appraised me as needing to go through special training for my upper-level fire magic. Those who were deemed as needing training were to be sent to the Royal Research Academy. This was an incredible honor among nobles. The Royal Research Academy was on the same grounds as the Royal Palace. Being sent there meant that they could enter it earlier than if they turned 15 and became an adult. And in doing so, they could also search for a marriage partner earlier than other nobles. But that wasn't all. If you were especially skilled, you could go on to become a researcher, knight, or mage. Your success in life would be guaranteed, but my useless twin sister was here too. What's the big deal about having some new skill? Trash like her shouldn't be here. Dude, you've been brainwashed. Big time. This is your room. Wear what's in the closet under the bed. You can't do your training wearing anything else. If you need anything, you can buy it from the shop inside the gray building next door, the Royal Research Institute. Before the 8th bell, we will be meeting at the reception desk right inside there as well. I can explain anything you don't understand, but you didn't want to shake my hand, so you must be fine on your own, right? Oh, hoo-hoo. My instructor Mirabelle gave me a challenging glance before leaving my room. All I did was not shake her hand because I thought she was a commoner. I didn't know why that would anger her. 'Cause you're being rude! Why is she so bothered that I didn't shake her hand? It's not my fault. After yelling that, I looked around the room I was shown to. On the right side of the room was a ladder and upper bed with a closet and storage space underneath. On the left was a desk and chair. That was it. There was no maid to take care of me. Ha ha! Why is my room so small, and why isn't there a maid for me? I yelled again. A second later, there was a knock on my door. May I say something? Suspicious of who could be at the door, I opened it. There I found a very unhappy-looking blue-haired girl who seemed to be around my age. Hey, I completely understand that you just arrived, but could you quiet down? Your screaming is too loud. My face burned at her words. I hadn't meant to be that loud. And I'll let you know another thing. Your family is renting this room for you, the blue-haired girl sighed. Screaming about how your room is too small and you don't have a maid. Aren't you embarrassed to be spreading that your family is poor? I lowered my head, humiliated. Ha ha! I love this. She's getting comeuppance and karma. Yes! If you need a maid, have your family send you one. But they'll also need to rent a room for them too, she said flatly before turning around and leaving. Frustrated, I could only bite my lip. After that, I spent a while emptying my bags into the closet. As I did, I saw the ugly black clothes Mirabelle had mentioned, telling me to wear this. Is she just bullying me? No, it's actually what you're supposed to wear as a trainee. Not feeling like doing anything else that day, I went to bed with an empty stomach. The next morning, I woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. Putting on a yellow dress that I bought from home, I looked out my door to see what was happening. Everyone was wearing those ugly black clothes with a gray robe on top and heading somewhere. I went to follow them, but the blue-haired girl from the day before stopped me. What are you wearing? Control trainees can't enter the Royal Research Institute wearing their normal clothes. Didn't your instructor tell you? Huh? I know she had said something when she'd shown me to my room, but I couldn't remember what. The blue-haired girl continued, just go put on the black uniform from your closet and a gray robe. And as a control trainee, you won't be able to get into the institute after the 8th bell. I rushed back into my room, quietly getting changed. Once I stepped back into the hall, it was empty. I ran through the halls, and as I was going down the stairs, the bell started ringing. Somehow I managed to get inside the Royal Research Institute before the 8th bell chimed. Ha ha! I kind of wish she couldn't have gotten there in time, and then she would have been stuck. Ha 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 ha! That would have laughed. I would have laughed! As I was gasping for breath, Mirabelle spoke up. You're late. I thought you weren't coming. We're going now. Mirabelle started walking away without waiting for me. I'd never been treated this way before in my entire life. My mother and I were always treated with reverence by the maids in the manor. Even my useless sister bowed to me. I couldn't believe this. Yeah, now you're in the real world, little girl. You're not all important, you know. Still out of breath, I chased after her. She led me to her room and gave me an introduction, but... You trainees are doing your control training here at the Institute for us, which means you can leave whenever you want if you don't want training. Leave? To my tiny room with no maid? I was about to announce I was going home, but before I could, she continued. Those who leave before completing their training will have to live wearing a mana-sealing bracelet. Okay. She said, pointing to a bracelet displayed off to the side of the room. These bracelets are only used for criminals and failures. Ha ha! You want to be branded as a failure? Just like you called your sister so much? So what are you going to do? I'm staying, I screeched angrily. I'd never become a failure like my sister. I see. If you're staying, then you have to obey our rules here at the Institute. Mirabelle peered at me with a stern look in her eyes. Just like I told you yesterday. Control trainees must all wear their black uniforms and gray robes. They serve as your identification, and wearing them lets you eat for free in the lodging house. So I have to keep wearing these drab black clothes the entire time I'm here? I wanted to complain, but Mirabelle kept on speaking. There's a communal bath and laundry room in the lodging house for your use. If you don't want to wash your clothes on your own, you can pay to have the laundry maids do it for you. I've never done laundry, and I don't have any money. I've never used it before. My mind blanked as I realized that. What should I do? What could I do? But then an idea suddenly came to me while I was worrying. That's right, I could use my failure of a sister as a maid. Once I realized that, I was able to listen calmly to Mirabelle's explanation. Nope, you cannot do that. She went on to explain how living in the lodging house worked and how we'd be trained. Afterwards, we headed to a hall on the first floor of the building. Inside were lots of people wearing white robes with different colored stoles. Go stand with the other trainees over there. I scowled at her ordering me around, but I did as I was told. Why are there so many people gathering here? After a while, a woman with purplish red hair stood on a platform in the middle. The woman was acting self-important, just like my grandfather, Marquis Ackroyd, acted back at home in the manner when he came. I've called you out here today to introduce a new colleague. After she said that, the whole room began buzzing. A new colleague? She must mean me. Why else would all these people be gathered here? Just as I was about to step forward, the woman looked toward the entrance. Chelsea, over here. What? Why is she calling my sister's name? While I was in shock, my sister stepped up to the podium wearing a light green dress. She wasn't wearing the same black and gray robe outfits we were, even though it was supposed to be mandatory. The purplish red-haired woman clapped her hands, silencing the room. This is Chelsea. She just awakened to a new type of skill. Make sure you treat her well. My sister timidly bowed. Why should I treat my trash sister well? I'm the chief of the Royal Research Academy. The kids in gray robes are the control trainees, and the people in white robes are all researchers. You can tell who works where by the color of their stoles. Yellow means martial arts, red means magic, green means technical, and blue means unique. We'll be doing research and observation of your skill, but I will promise you that we'll never be rough with you. That's it, meeting's over. I didn't get a chance to complain before all of us control trainees were shuffled to a big room. The moment I entered, I could hear people talking. Lady Chelsea, was it? I'm so jealous that she's awakened to a brand new skill. I heard that she won't have to wear a robe because she'll be treated as a special researcher. She might not have to usually, but she might in formal situations. Huh? What color stole would she wear? I think it would be the highest rank purple. Isn't purple the color that only royalty can use? That's amazing. That isn't amazing at all, I spoke up, causing all the trainees to stop and look at me. Do you happen to know Lady Chelsea, the blue-haired girl who spoke to me earlier asked? She's my older twin sister. Let me take this opportunity to tell you all about her, I said, everyone edging closer to hear what I had to say. Listen to me as I explained just how much of a failure my sister is. I went through everything that happened at home for them, how her appearance, personality, and actions were all completely inferior to me, how she was such a failure that we had her do the cleaning, how she always had to be whipped for not cleaning properly. Do you understand how my sister is trash now? I'm assuming they're going to turn on you, girl. They're going to turn on you for how you treat family. As I finished my explanation, everyone who had listened started whispering to each other, glancing in my direction. Lady Chelsea was very cute, but she did seem quite thin. Rather than thin, she looked like skin and bones. If they're twins, why is one withering away while the other is perfectly normal? And making Lady Chelsea wake up early to clean the entire house? They whipped her as punishment? They all turned to me at once. The blue-haired girl stepped forward, almost as if she were representing them all. So your twin sister was abused? No, my twin sister is garbage. All we did was discipline her. No, it's abuse. The only thing I had wanted to do was tell everyone how much of a failure my sister was, but for some reason it made everyone stay away from me. Ha ha, it's the consequences of your actions, girl. Okay, I think I'm going to have to end this off here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the next one.